Welcome everyone to the Serpent Tarot for another pick a card reading. So today's reading I'm filming so that I can publish it either the day before or the day after. I haven't yet decided the timing of when I publish the next installment of my You Through the Houses astrology based readings. So this one for April, being the fourth month, will be about the fourth house. So who you are at your core, because who you are at home, who you are in your base is part of what the fourth house is all about. And I often say the sign that's there is a very strong indication of who you are really at your core. So I thought, what a good way to pair it with something which is who are you evolving into? Because we're all works in progress. And we all probably, if we could see our various astrology charts through different lifetimes, we would probably see a progression and a progress occurring. So, but that doesn't have to be only in between lifetimes. It could also be within a lifetime. So that's what this is all about in terms of your spiritual self, your 3D self, some combination thereof. Who are you evolving into now? What are the energies around that? And what will help make sure it's for your highest good and that of other people around you? What maybe don't you see that would be helpful to see to make the evolution as painless and as positive as possible? So that's what the reading is about today. Before I get into the pile selection and move into the readings, I do want to say something that as I've said, I'm going to say every once in a while. I don't want to say it in every video I do, but private readings are now available if you would like a private reading from me. The details of how to get that are in the description box below. The only way to get it is via my Etsy store. You can certainly email me at my website and ask me about it. And if you're interested, then I'll direct you to the Etsy store. But if you know you want a reading and it's just a matter of what type and the length and so forth, then I'd suggest going to the Etsy store and checking it out and deciding what might work for you. No pressure ever that anybody should feel that I have an expectation you're going to come to me for a reading. It's only there if you want it. And I always think I need to say when I say this, because other tarot readers unfortunately have had to say the same thing, and I've heard it quite often on YouTube. That is the only way you can get a reading from me. So if somebody is approaching you and soliciting you, pretending to be me, that's what they are, pretending to be me. Now, I haven't heard of this happening with my persona, my channel yet, but it could very well. So I just want to make sure that nobody's ever scammed. So this is you come to me if you're interested in a reading, not the other way around. So I just say that so that you know you're always in the driver's seat. It's always your choice, and I don't want anybody to be scammed. But if you are interested in one, check out the Etsy store. Okay, so let's get into it today. So I'm actually using cards from a beautiful new oracle that I've got called The Wisdom of the Golden Path. And it's because it has I just got pulled to these particular energies. So to me, they feel like the sort of energies intuitively that could be part of an evolutionary pathway for people who come to this reading. I will be using at least one other card from this deck in the reading plus others to give us a map at the beginning of what the evolution looks like, what is forming. Then we'll be using some tarot to drill into it in more detail, and then some oracles for spiritual advice, how to make it work the best for you. But you could be drawn to the concepts that these cards are talking about, the imagery. You may be drawn to the number of the reading. I know some people tend to go to a particular number, and that's fine. Whatever works for you. If you're drawn to more than one, maybe your evolution is a combination of two things, and it would help if I put 4 up the right way. So basically for pile number 1 we have compassion. For pile number 2 we have the inspired warrior. For pile number 3 we have creativity. And for pile number 4 we have power. I did try to balance these out in terms of what I was intuitively drawn to for what might be masculine energy and what might be feminine, but you don't have to be that gender or identify with that gender to choose the corresponding deck. I just wanted to kind of give that balance to the imagery here. And I have no idea what gender the other card may be. It's not really about gender, but I just thought it might help potentially for some people with the choice. Anyway, once you know what reading or readings you want to go to, as always, I've got the timestamps down in the description box below, and I'll see you there. Welcome, pile 1, to your reading. So we have compassion, as I say, and that's also accompanied by wisdom, which is a beautiful combination, I would think, for evolution, because wisdom is at least one part compassion. It's a big part of what spiritual wisdom is to have compassion. But it's nice to see wisdom there as well too, given what I see as potentially your evolutionary journey. And I almost want to start at the end and then move backwards. We've got the archetype of the advocate. I think the people who've come to this reading, if you've come to the right reading, are evolving into an advocate in some way or other. So it could be as some form of social, community or political advocate. It could be an advocate in a professional respect, and that's possible with the ninth house, like some sort of legal advocate or something like that. It could be an advocate of a different spiritual approach. It could be an advocate of people who are suffering to free them from that suffering. There's something like that. And also maybe an advocate with Zavkiel here of motivation, particularly with the Saturn energy there of kind of crystallizing and bringing things into being, advocating what could be a distribution of wealth or abundance and so forth, because we've also got Sandalphon, which is about manifestation. This is very much a group that there is spiritual wisdom definitely here, but this is being worked out on this earth in the 3D, and it is for an outcome. It's a strategic outcome with a new strategy being required. It's probably been built on the back of sacrifice, because with bull energy here, there is that sense of pushing through, having sacrificed, having learned. In fact, I think most of you that have come here with this combination have the compassion and wisdom that have come from having suffered and sacrificed something in the past. So I do think you've already given towards whatever this cause is that you have, or having gone through something, you have learnt from it, and now you want to advocate to help other people not go through this. And you have the wisdom to see some new strategy is required, because what you were doing before was very, very strong on compassion, and I think you may have self-sacrificed a bit. But to really bring the manifestation in, you need the wisdom as well, the strategy. You need to be using both your heart and your head. You need both of those things to be an advocate in the material world. Because when you are just in the heart space with compassion, you are touching into Chiron's energy. Chiron is fantastic as a healer. It certainly would suggest you have healing abilities, and some of what you might advocate for is something that may heal others psychologically, spiritually, physically, politically, resource-wise, whatever it might be. But it is often called the wounded healer, because the healing comes from not being able to heal oneself. And I think this is where there's a really nice marriage of wisdom and learning to what you do, because the ninth house is all about higher learning, broadening your horizons, travel, and spiritual development as well. But I think you've already got the spiritual development. I think this is learning wisdom. It is learning something strategic. It may be to be an advocate in some way. Part of your evolution is to study something or to research into something so that you're ready with a strategy to actually bring something into being and motivate others to be able to perhaps follow you and take your lead. But whatever it is, your evolution is towards taking the heart and the head in a way that is strategic and motivating, that will heal or balance or advocate for others, and which I think heals some sacrifice you've made in the past. And you've had an aha moment about manifestation, that it isn't just in the heart, it isn't just in visualization, isn't just in any of those things. It also requires an understanding in the material world, the knowledge of the systems that you're in, the strategic stuff that you need, and the capacity to structure something that's motivating and shifts an energy. But you are going to be an advocate in some way. You are a social justice warrior, you are a political advocate, you're a spiritual advocate. You will be taking your message out. You are working out your strategy now. It does come from the heart, but it comes in equal measure from your head. And because of that, it's a very powerful thing and likely to be successful. Whereas I think in the past it was more that you came just from your heart and wanting to think that would manifest it. You've now realised that's not enough. For some reason, whatever your environment is, whether it's work, political, in your family, even in a relationship, if there was a relationship where you're always sacrificing and always healing someone, but it never seemed to fix up, you've actually worked out there's a different modality or a different way, and you need to advocate for something for that person to start healing themselves. So in whatever area it's in, you have a message. You are going to be an advocate. So let's have a look, given that, with tarot. So I'm using the Lost Tarot, It's a new tarot deck that I've got. It's got sort of like medieval imagery in it. It kind of makes me think of Arthurian times, and so I kind of like that idea because Arthurian legends are all around Grail quests and all that sort of thing. So I thought it was an energy that was good for this sort of a evolutionary question. So we're going to start first with some tarot energy about where are you now in this journey of evolution. Okay, this definitely picks up whatever this sacrifice energy is. It's interesting that, you know, we've got the strength card here, which is called fortitude in this deck, reversed. And with the Ace of Wands reversed and the Ace of Swords, this basically does say that there's a blessing, there's a new thing trying to emerge in you, you're getting an idea, but it hasn't fully formed yet because there's been something dramatic, something that has sapped your strength. I think you have suffered some form of reversal around what you're trying to do. But you are now, in a sense, going back and healing yourself, taking the time out to do that, getting over this, using the Chiron energy to help yourself. And you've learnt from this. You're the sort of person who learns. You don't make the same mistake twice, which is great. And it's not necessarily to say what you did was a mistake. It was just maybe half of the picture. You've now sort of realised that you need to connect your mind and what your passion, I feel like this is a political passion or a social passion to it, so that you can manifest and create in a very long-lasting way with the Nine of Coins, and a way that is independent. Part of this advocacy is about freedom. Part of it is about something where, you know, relationships that weren't free, workplaces that weren't free, political situations. There's something like that where you can see that the promise of freedom and intellectual truth and all of those sort of things hangs in the balance. And so I think you've seen that, and for some of you could be very, very political, and it could just be a reflection of, you know, what we've been dealing with in the last few years, where there has been a lot of political change, a lot of censorship, a lot of things that have potentially dulled our capacity to know what to advocate for, what to believe in, and so forth. But with your wisdom and your compassion, you can see with the two aces how to actually turn that around. You haven't worked out your strategy yet. You know you need the strategy, because just to go into the sort of like the fray, that's not going to help you at this point. You need to sort of have something material. So to use the sort of energy of Sandalphon around manifestation with the Saturnian energy of Zavkael to motivate others. So let's have a look at what you can see right now. So what energy is around what you can see in terms of your evolution? This is a lovely deck, but it's very big and hard to shuffle. Okay. Eight of Coins. So you can see victory is potentially in sight, even though this sacrifice, even it's almost sort of like on the sort of the land, the grounds of the defeat or the sacrifice. Victory can be snatched from the jaws of defeat in this case, definitely, and you can see that. And you've got most of the study you need. So this eight of coins fits very nicely, say, to the ninth house. You've got the skills and the ability. You do have the wisdom. As I say, you learn very, very fast. And this is going to be important because you will be good on your feet. You will be able to express what you need to do because you can pick up the environment that you're in very, very well. What you know at the moment is that the lines of communication are not clear. So you've got to work out how to deal with that, how to present yourself and so forth. And you may be keeping your counsel. You may not be advocating anything yet until you can work out how to translate your wisdom, knowing and so forth to a victory. So I think you're in the strategic phase at this point in time. But what aren't you seeing in terms of your evolution? So what could potentially trip you up and have you not become the advocate but be dealing with something else? Okay, now the interesting thing about this is, one of the things that I really feel that you have as a strength is that the connection of your heart and your head. You're not switching your head off. You know, for advocacy, you know, for strategy, you need your head. But this is saying that you need to process some of the pain and some of the loss before so that you can make decisions. Because if you don't do that, if you don't fully understand, if you want to just walk away from whatever the drama was, move into, I'm going to solve this, I'm going to advocate, I'm going to move forward, and you haven't fully resolved almost intellectually, almost philosophically what happened, then you may not be able to make the decisions as quickly as you would like, and the information that you want may not be as clear, particularly when this is clarifying the Page of Swords reversed. There is something that you're not seeing yet. There is something in your environment, whatever this situation is, that you're not seeing yet, that you don't have all the information on. And Spirit is saying with the Three of Swords reversed and the Five of Swords, there is a possibility of moving through that and healing from it, but you maybe are not as healed yet philosophically as you think. I remember Alain de Botton, who is a philosopher, wrote a book called something like The Constellations of Philosophy. And it's an interesting book because it looks through philosophical traditions and shows that philosophers often came up with their philosophies by trying to work out the sort of difficult issues, I guess, that we have being part of the human race, you know, where there were reversals of fortune, where there were political issues that were a problem, where there were economic issues that were a problem. What could you take from that philosophically? There's something in that. So I think that Spirit is just saying, don't suppress that because it's painful or you don't want to look at it or you just want to get on with things. Part of turning these two aces around is dealing with this stuff, is embracing the value of your wisdom and embracing the value of what you've learnt, because it will mean your strategy is better and you will get to where you need to be quicker. So don't feel, if you sit in your head, it's too negative, or if you are contemplating the past, that's somehow too negative or stuck. The only way you'll get stuck is if you try and shut that bit up and just go straight into the action, because you may not get the strategy that you need and you may find yourself back at that bull energy with feeling you sacrificed or lost another battle where you could have actually won it very easily. Okay, so let's have a look at what the engine room is for change. So just going to be looking at a number of different oracles here. One which is around spiritual gifts or approaches that could help you. One that's around chakra energy. One that's around color energy. And one that's around creativity. The last two are really about how you create and evolve yourself. So firstly, let's see what spiritual energy is potentially around you to help. Rest. See, this might be what this is showing. Rest and let things process in a meditative way. You don't necessarily have to sort of like pick everything apart into analysis paralysis or something. That wouldn't help either. But rest, allowing time out, thinking it through, bringing that into your strategy could be helpful. And elemental magic. So that's interesting. When we have the two aces reversed, so you've got the Ace of Wands, so fire element, and we have the Ace of Swords, which is of course the air element. This may be saying that thinking about those elements and how you turn them around. This one is really about allowing yourself to accept your wisdom, and that part of that is strategic and intellectual. It's not just of the heart. But I think there's also some energy around what you want to create, and we are going to be looking at creative energy. So you could see yourself going into advocacy as just being a kind of philosopher who wants a particular outcome. But I think this is saying that there's something creative, there's something fiery and passionate in this as well for you, and connecting into that energy as well could be helpful. Let's see what chakras are useful and what affirmation Spirit has for you as you evolve. Sacral chakra, so yeah, creativity. There's something creative in this, and crown chakra connecting to your spiritual wisdom. Okay, so the sacral chakra has orange calcite, which is about connection and discovery. I am on the path to self-discovery. So this is part of your wisdom. This is why you can be the advocate in the end, because you are prepared to look at these things and you are prepared to think about it. And I feel connected to all things, and it doesn't cut you off from your heart, and it doesn't cut you off from spirit. There's almost a divide that, you know, I've seen and picked up in conversations, all sorts of things with people in the recent past, around whether there's almost a divide between the mind and the spirit. And I think ideally they should work together. But there does seem to be this divide sometimes. I think that you've worked out how to make them work, and it's a creative process for you. And it connects to your crown chakra. So we've got aqua aura quartz, which is about the higher self and activation. I activate my inner goddess, and I always listen to my higher self. So this is really owning your wisdom and owning the fact that what you've been through, whatever you've dealt with, is actually preparing you for a much bigger battle that you will be very successful with and very good at. So when we're talking about creativity, I also wanted to look at some light energy, color, light energy, and I wanted to look at some creative energy about you creating yourself. So firstly, when we look at color energy around how you're evolving. Purple, develop mental clarity. And you have mental clarity, but I think it's trusting it a bit more. And peach, inhale a breath of life. And that's the kind of sacral chakra energy, creative energy, and so forth. So I think it's sort of saying it is the Ace of Swords reversed and the Ace of Wands reversed. It's like turning those around, taking the blessing from that. Trust your mental clarity is actually really on point. But don't divide it from your creative and spiritual sense, because we've got the purple here. The mental clarity is connecting to the crown chakra as well. And the peach here around inhaling the breath of life is connecting to the sacral chakra. All right, so let's also look at some creative energy full stop. So what would Spirit suggest you think of in a creative way for your evolution? Harmony. Vibration. Okay, so I'm also getting music from this. I'm thinking music would be helpful for you. And again, it's a really interesting thing with music, if you think about it, because music is a combination of the sort of tonality, the melody, all the things that touch the heart, that touch the emotions, but it's also highly mathematical, so it's highly of the mind. There's something about bringing those things into harmony that brings the right vibration, that raises your vibration, that brings the creativity in, that allows you to be incredibly motivating and able to advocate for what you want. So I think there's using music, there's using your creative sources in some way, and there's sort of rest and meditation, but in combining the head and the heart. That's what you are going to do to evolve into the advocate. So to bring this all together, I want to use some Astro Chakra cards, and then there was one other card that was under the card that brought you to this reading, and that's from the Angelic Healing Light deck. And it's really all about angelic sort of vibrational energy to see what else Spirit wants to talk to you about for your evolution. But firstly, let's get some Astro Chakra cards, and then we will see what the angelic light healing energy is. Love, so the heart chakra, the third eye chakra, and the crown chakra again. So this definitely is a spiritual thing. I think that what Spirit's trying to say to you is that this harmony, this connecting your heart and your mind is actually a spiritual act. Don't feel that it isn't. And if you're taking it out into the material world to advocate for outcomes and so forth, that is no less spiritual. It's in fact a very high order spiritual thing that is very, very inspiring to others with Neptune in the crown chakra. And it's about your spiritual beliefs. There's something, you may in fact literally be advocating about spiritual beliefs, or your spiritual beliefs may be the underpinning and informing what it is that you're trying to advocate on. Certainly your connection with others, telepathic and so forth, with the third eye chakra, with Saturn discipline, bringing definition to things. This is using that Saturnian energy, Saturn around Zapkiel here and motivation, but also around the mind and wisdom. Bringing Saturn is Jupiter and Saturn, both of them can be about wisdom, just in different ways. But I think this is the wisdom of the mind connecting to others. And then, but the heart is always there. You're transforming your heart. And with Pluto there, there's sort of gratitude. There's sort of like you come to the point of understanding everything that you went through, even if it was a bit heartbreaking, is in fact towards your evolution and growth and towards how you can help others. Okay, so I think you've got a pretty big sort of mission on your plate. So let's see what, to finish off, we have in terms of angelic energy and guidance for you. Love beyond death. So this card does come up when somebody is going through grief. So it's possible this sacrifice or this loss might have been a loss of someone from your life, literally someone who passed on, but it may not be that. It may also just be someone that left your life, someone that you had to move on from, or a cause or somebody you were trying to help that you couldn't actually bring through in the way that you wanted to. Whatever it is, This is the Archangel Gabriel watching over you, and it is an energy of connecting you to your heart. So you will always stay connected to your heart. I think that what this is saying overall is your evolution is taking you more and more into the material world and more into the philosophical world, because that gives you a strategy to bring about the spiritual and political or whatever it is outcomes that you know you need to do, and can help you heal from somewhere where you lost something or didn't win the battle or whatever it is. But this is saying that in doing it, it is not an either or. You're not giving up the heart to just go into the 3D world and the world of the mind. It is the harmony. It is raising the vibration by connecting the two. And there could very well be passed on loved ones who are watching over you, or the Archangel Gabriel watching over you with love to keep you connected to your heart. So if you are going into a world of philosophical or political battle to be the advocate, rest assured, you will stay connected to your heart. You will use your mind in a spiritually wise way, and you will therefore raise the harmony and vibration of everyone around you. So I think that's a lovely, lovely evolutionary message for you. And I hope that resonates. I hope you enjoyed it. If so, please like the video and subscribe. And if you care to share in the comments, I'd love to hear about it. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings. Welcome, Pile 2, to your reading. So we have the Inspired Warrior that brought you to this particular reading, and then also Good Fortune from the Wisdom of the Golden Path deck. Then we also have a Divine Animal, the Hare, which is about the cycles of life. Cards about creativity, potential, universal truths, the energy of Cancer, the 11th house, and then the archetype of the Jester. So I think that this group are evolving into some form of performance. You don't necessarily have to be a performer per se, but some of you may well be with the Jester. You could be a comedian or somebody who uses wit and brilliance and so forth to awaken people's potential, to awaken their understanding of things, to protect people, to connect socially across social media and so forth. But to talk about something that's quite serious and something that actually comes from a warrior space, but to turn it into something that is good fortune, creative, and so forth. So you look to me like someone with the Inspired Warrior who is somebody who wants to take on a cause or to speak your truth or whatever that might be. Very, very creative energy, very, very strong. But I don't think you use it to go into battle. You use it to create and to motivate and inspire other people. And in the process of doing it, I think you will do very well. I think part of your evolution is to bring in good fortune for yourself and for those who follow you or who are around you. There could be very many social influences in one form or another in this group. With the 11th house, which is all about things like social media, social networks, friendships, and so forth. The Jester card, awakening the magic of your creativity and connecting universal truths with potential. So Michael watching over with Mercury as the planet, so a mercurial quick mind, a quick wit, all of that kind of thing. With Sandalphon, who is in the material world bringing potential in. There could be great teachers in this group, great influencers, great performers, great role models, all of those sorts of things. Inspiring, I think, the creativity in others just as much as you might do it yourself. And teaching something about the cycles of life and universal truths in a very protective, sensitive, emotional way that cares for people. So, for instance, if you're a comedian, you're not a vicious comedian. With Cancer, you're actually very protective, you're very kind. So you don't do that kind of dark, anarchic comedy, for instance. You're much more likely to want to inspire people's creativity, have wit and so forth, but bring people to see their own potential and their own creativity. As I say, you could be an amazing teacher in some way, an amazing mentor or coach, but there is something about using wit and communication and creativity. And I think you're moving more and more into it. I think many of you may have been one of two things with these cards. You either may have been in much more conventional roles and you're now looking at how to use your own creativity, wit, brilliance, all of that kind of thing, charisma, to bring fortune to yourself and to others, including possibly your family. The other thing that it could be is that you could be someone who's put a lot of time into family and so forth, and you're now at a stage in your life where you feel inspired to do something that is more true to you, that is more about your creativity, that connects you more to the world and to your sort of soul tribe, or people who have a similar sense of humour, all of those sorts of things. But this is a very, very profoundly creative evolution. As I say, it's got to do with wit and brilliance and speed of thought and creativity, but I think it is the time to do it. I think you have fought some battles and you've looked after other people, and there's all sorts of things. It's your time now to step forward into who you are, bring your good fortune in, entertain others, but I think also inspire others. So it's a really lovely energy. So let's have a look with tarot. We'll start firstly with just where are you at the moment on this evolutionary journey. Then we're going to have a look at what you do see clearly and also what you may not be seeing, both of which might help you in this evolution. So I'm using the Lost Tarot because it looks a bit Arthurian. I think that always makes me think of a quest or an evolution, so I thought it was a good choice for this sort of reading. So where you are at the moment. Wow, okay. Yeah, you're definitely ready to come out and communicate and be in the world. And particularly with the Page of Swords around, say, social media or something like that. It does look to me like you are walking away from something that didn't work, maybe a cycle emotionally. It could be a relationship that didn't work. It could have been a career that didn't work, or it could just be time to move on. As I say, you could be at a situation where, you're in a happy family and you've spent a lot of time with child rearing, and now you can actually put some time into something else because some of those emotional responsibilities are such that you can start to move away. Whatever it is with the Tower, you've either just experienced or just about to experience a major shift, a major change, and I think it's around your creativity. It's working out actually how to use your creativity with what you've learned of the world in some way. So I feel like that's a very positive combination of the Blasted Tower and the King of Wands. It could be for some of you, there could have been a breakup with someone who was creatively a bit controlling, and having done that, you're now coming out into the world. So for some, there could be that. It could be finding your own feet and your own fortune and so forth. But I think for most, it's more like you've had an aha moment, a sense of who you could be creatively. You want to really start to move with that and move away from the cycles where it might have been more about family or about work responsibilities or whatever. Get out and communicate in the world, and you're ready to do that. So you're very well primed to be this person. So let's see what you do see at the moment. Okay, you see that you're in a position of strength, definitely. There's something about the cycles here with hair. There's something about you're ready to sort of move forward. And I feel like the Queen of Coins here makes me think a bit of the woman here with the hair as well. There's this sort of sense of materially being ready, materially being in the right sort of position with the Queen of Coins. So you are able to do something and you're able to sustain it. So this is the interesting thing because it's clarifying the Tower. It again makes me think that the Tower was not a bad energy here. It was clearing things out for something that's more lasting and something that's more true to you. So if you have sort of felt like, I've just dealt with a lot of Tower moments, you're coming into understanding how that gives you a new lease on life, a new way of thinking, and that you're very strong. Whatever this was, you've dealt with it in great strength. And as I say, if it's a change you've brought yourself, going into business for yourself, going online and getting your sort of creativity out there, whatever it might be, you're in a very powerful position because you can move with change and you understand the cycles of life. You've got a new inspiration, definitely. Very creative inspiration, connecting with the King of Wands again. So again, this feeling like the jester, the witty person, the comedian, something like that. But you're in a very strong position. You know that you are able to do this now. Whether you literally started or not, I'm not sure. But you are evolving more and more into this sort of creative voice out in the world. And, you look like you're going to be very successful. Given that, let's just see if there's anything you don't know that knowing it might stop you from tripping up anywhere along the way. So that Spirit's giving advice to make sure that you don't krill your own pitch at all at any point. Okay. So firstly, with the Knight of Cups, it is possible for some of you there's been a breakup in a relationship that has triggered some of this. It could have been a romantic relationship, probably more likely than not romantic if it's the Knight of Cups, but it doesn't have to be. It could have been a creative partnership that has broken up and now you are going to be much more on your own 2 feet and moving forward. But it is saying that working through whatever the emotional side of that is important. It's almost like you go into your head and you go into wit and you go into the creativity, but there's a little bit to heal still, so that you don't sort of like, it's more, I think, so that you're happy as you go forward. The other thing that Spirit is saying is that you're very fast, you're very quick, you're quick-witted, you're quick thinking, you get on with things, you're creative, you've got all that fire energy, all that air energy. But sometimes building your presence takes a bit of time. You know, we've got the cards that, in a sense, one is about the foundation and like sometimes feeling a bit stuck and, you know, do I take the next step? I don't want to lose what I've got. And then you've got the Seven of Coins, which is sort of like the investment. It's the card of I've planted my seeds, I've planted my crop, I've now got to allow it to grow. So I think that Spirit is saying that if this was a disconnection from someone and you worked with them before, or you could have done something collaborative, you have still got something. Don't worry about what you've let go of there, because you can build something for yourself. If it is more around you just want to get on with it, you're quick, then you do need to be aware that it takes time to build a foundation. It takes time. Don't get discouraged, I think, would be the message here. So to help you, I've got various cards that are just looking at sort of like the engine room of change. So I'm starting with one that's around spiritual gifts, then we're looking at chakra energy, and then a couple that are around creativity, because I think whenever we evolve, we're creating ourselves. So let's see what Spirit wants to talk to you about here. Conjure. And nature. Okay, so I think that this is saying you actually have the capacity to manifest, to conjure, to bring energies up and so forth. This is part of this mercurial mind, I think. You can conjure the sort of things you want. If you're feeling a bit stuck, if you feel it's going a bit slow, then think about sort of like energy, magic and so forth. And connect as much as you can with nature and understand your own nature, I think, here. Understand, as I say, that you have this very mercurial and fiery energy, but you're trying to build something that has a material basis and so forth. You're going to inspire the hell out of other people and could well have a business around that, but it's almost like behind the scenes you feel a little bit slower than you would like to be. Understand your own nature and, to the degree possible, bring that creative energy in. Let's see what the crystal chakra cards want to tell us for you. Root chakra, heart chakra. Okay, so the root chakra is all about, you know, who you are at a core, and so this is what's evolving and what you're building from. And the heart chakra is what you love in it, and the chakra possibly that in your hurry to get on with it you might not be fully looking at. So I think this is why it's coming up. So the root chakra has red agate, and it talks about positivity and grounding. I feel grounded in this moment and I choose to embrace positivity. I think that's whenever you're feeling like, is this going fast enough? Just ground yourself, be positive. You're heading in the right direction. The heart chakra, green aventurine, brings prosperity and transmutation. I transmute lower vibrational energies into higher ones, and I attract prosperity into my life by believing I deserve it. This is the good fortune you do. I think that whatever you do, you may feel, you know, if you've sort of moved away from other responsibilities and this is you expressing yourself, or if you've moved away from a collaboration or something, you may feel like, oh, am I being selfish? Is it all about me? But you're bringing universal truths and you're inspiring other people. And jesters are incredibly powerful. Back in medieval times, the jester was one of the few people who could speak truth to power. So there's something in this. This is connected to your heart, and know that you deserve the good fortune that's coming in for you. Okay, let's have a look at the creative side of things. So we'll firstly have a look at some color energy around you, and then we'll look at creative energy. So this is the sort of like almost the energetic sort of creative side of things that your evolution is involving. Mauve. Enjoy clear hearing. Okay. And pearl, strengthen your connection with the divine. Okay, so this is telling me that you're very spiritually adept, and this is probably why we had conjure, for instance, and nature. Like there is something in you that's very spiritual, but I think you're used to, as I say, being more mercurial and so forth. But enjoy clear hearing could be that you actually are clairaudient. So pay attention to, you know, if you think you hear voices or whatever, and may not be literal, it just might be, you know, like almost like a language or a way of saying something that drops into your head. It's likely to be some clairaudience. And pearl, strengthen your connection with divine. There's a lot of energy, and I think that might be the conjuring. When you feel a bit stuck, connect to the divine, connect to, say, the crown chakra, connect to that energy of absolute pure inspiration. because, as I say, you're going to bring that to other people as well. Let's see the creative energy around you. Perseverance. Okay, yeah. It's going to be necessary. You're very, very quick, but some things go a bit slower, pile 2. And trust. Yeah, trust. Trust your connection to the divine. Trust that what you're doing is right. You will actually achieve the good fortune and, I think, inspire other people to get to it. Okay, so to close out the reading, I wanted to use some Astro Chakra cards, and then there was one other card that was under the card that brought you to the reading, which is Angelic light healing energies, to just bring it all together with some angelic support at the end of the reading for your evolution. So firstly, let's have a look at what the Astro Chakra cards can tell you about your evolution. Communication, yeah, that doesn't surprise me. You are going to, it's all about communication. The heart chakra is connected, so what you're going to care about and love, and then who you are in the world with the solar plexus chakra. So communication has Uranus. You are an individual. You're original. You definitely are. This is why you're going to be successful. You are, people couldn't really copy you. They might try, but they really couldn't. Very fast, very mercurial. That's your change engine. The heart chakra is how you bring discipline and focus. So what you love, what you care about, is what's going to actually help keep you towards the universal truths and helping others as well. And then that takes your sort of like the fire energy that you have, which you have a lot of, forward with the Mars energy in the the solar plexus chakra. And so that's about the passion for what you do. So you're going to love doing what you're going to do. What you're developing into, you're really going to enjoy. But I do think with the right sort of focus on making sure the message is right and connecting to universal truths and your very, very individual way of doing it, you're going to inspire others. So let's see, finally, what the angelic energy is around you. Higher purpose. Okay, yes, because you have a higher purpose. This is going back to the universal truths. I think many people will see you as incredibly entertaining, incredibly clever, incredibly inspiring, and you will be all those things. That is part of what you're evolving into. But you are doing this for a higher purpose that connects your individuality with the discipline of a heart that is properly connected and the passion to go towards the universal truths. So more power to you, Pile 2. Not only do I think you'd be vastly entertaining, and I love entertaining people, but secondly, what you're doing I think will be really helpful for others. So I hope you resonate with this reading. I hope that you enjoyed it. If so, please like the video and subscribe. And if you care to share in the comments, I'd love to hear about it. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings. Welcome, Pile 3, to your reading. So here's the creativity card that you chose to come to the reading, and then we also have I Am Balance from the Wisdom of the Golden Path deck. Then we have Polar Bear as a divine animal, which is all about ancestors. So there's something about family. There's a lot about family actually in this. It doesn't necessarily mean it has to be a literal family and literal caregiving, but there is something around all of that for you. We have Michael to bring strength and communication strength in particular. Metatron to bring connection to the beyond and potentially to ancestors, all of those sorts of things. The 5th house, which is about romance, love and children and family in that sense, creativity in that sense. Taurus, which is about the material things, the earthy things in the world, the good life, all of those sorts of things. And then also a realm of your truth opening up, connecting Metatron and Dragon energy, I think, towards what you're doing, leading to the caregiver. Now, this doesn't mean your evolution is to be a caregiver, though for some of you it may be. Your next evolutionary step may be to be a parent or to move into some form of caregiving occupation or role. It may be your ultimate life role, or it may be just something that you're evolving into at the moment, stepping into because you have the right sort of qualities to do it and the demand is there. So it could be very literal with these cards. It could be becoming a parent with creativity, the 5th house, the caregiver, balance, bringing things into balance, the sort of good family, good life, good health of Taurus, having the strength to do that, having maybe an extended family to connect to, or just connecting to your ancestors by bringing the next generation in, also connecting to the divine. So for some of you, with this set of cards and doing it in a very balanced way, You are evolving into a caregiving role in a very literal sense, parental or otherwise. For others, I think that there is something here about creativity. I think it is about connecting maybe to sort of ancestral lines or things from your family, creative talents, creative projects and so forth, and connecting that to some sort of higher spiritual thing, which brings about a creative energy that is ultimately healing and caregiving to others. So you could create beautiful music that brought care and respite to people who needed emotional fulfillment or needed to sort of get over grief or something like that. You could be incredibly creative around food and so forth, like an amazing restaurateur, for instance, or something like that then brings care to others with the way that you feed people. It could be that you are connecting to a spiritual sort of creative drive now, where you are looking after others through connecting spiritually. And in that case, for some of you, it may be something like mediumship, connecting to help people who have lost, people who have moved on. In whatever it is, you're very healthy and strong to deal with whatever you do. You're very balanced. This is why you are ultimately the ideal caregiver for others, because you have sorted a lot of things out yourself. Now, this doesn't mean that life is all sunshine and roses and you have no issues. I mean, we all have issues to deal with, but you are a very strong person, very spiritually connected and very caring of others. But you know how to keep it in balance. You know how to also look after yourself. So I think this is the ultimate caregiver in the way that it should be, as opposed to someone who just becomes that by circumstance. So let's have a look and see with tarot a little bit more information about this. So we're going to just start about where you are now in this evolution towards caregiving. And caregiving, as I say, doesn't always have to be within a family or even a profession. It could be that you give care to a team if you're a manager or a leader. It could be that you give care to a whole populace if you're a politician. But there's something very creative, very balanced, very beautiful, very caring about what you are doing and evolving into. So let's see where you're at the moment with tarot. And I'm using the Lost Tarot because it looks a bit like Arthurian times to me. And to me, that talks about quests and evolution in a very distinct way. So we have the Ace of Swords, Ten of Wands, Five of Swords, Fool reversed, Ten of Cups. Many of you, this is about family, I think, with the Ten of Cups. For many of you, this could be that, your next step is to be a parent, as I say. It's not going to be everybody, but for some, that's definitely the case. And the interesting thing about it, it's a very good foundation for it, but it's a bit tiring. Like if you are about to, have a child, for instance, there's all the sort of physical sort of issues around that and so forth. And, it's sleepless nights potentially. I mean, it could be just heading into that kind of energy potentially. If it's the case, I don't think it's necessarily your first child with the Fool reversed. Or maybe through ancestors you've looked after children before in some sort of extended family, because it looks as though you've been through this rodeo once before at least. You know what you're doing. You're very pragmatic about it. You know how to make it a good outcome. But there's something very new. But if it isn't literally a child, then there's a new idea, there's a new approach, there's a new philosophy, something like that you're bringing into being. And you know that there's hard work to really make it happen. And you know that at first there could be pushback. Not everybody is going to sort of see the potential of this new idea. But you are a pragmatist. You know how to make it happen, and you know how to make people see that it is ultimately very emotionally resonant. So if you are a caregiver on a broader platform, like a political one or an organisational one, you do know how to bring the harmony. You do. But you also know that an idea has to take its time to be seen, and you're very balanced about what you do with that. You will take it on, you know what to do, and you're connected like spiritually to get the support and sustenance you need. You know how to present it to people with Taurus in a way that they could see what's in it for them, not in a cynical way, but in a way that truly connects them in some way. And if it's about romance and creativity connecting that way, then there's something about your caring nature, I think, that draws the person in, but maybe they have a lot that they're dealing with. But I do think if that's the case, then you do need the caregiver role to be, and the evolution to be relatively short, because you don't want to go into a relationship that's, say, romantic, where then you become the caregiver always. Unless, you're already in that and there's some sort of physical reason that you need to do it, and that's a different matter. But if it's a matter of choice, you need to kind of calibrate that. But the fact that you've got iron balance suggests you know how to do that. So let's have a look at what you do see and know at the moment. Then we're going to have a look at what you may not see and what could trip you up without seeing it. So firstly, what you do see about your evolution at the moment. Okay, this is connecting, I think, to the Fool reversed. I think this is showing that part of the reason you're balanced and you are ready to do this creativity and so forth is you've seen an example of how it doesn't work. So one way to read this with the Ancestors card is that you may have come from a broken family, for instance, or there might be sort of something in one or you or your partner, if it's about a family background where there was not harmony and there was not love and there was a lot of pain. So you understand what not to do. I think this is what this is saying. You understand that this is a kind of a balance. That's why you need balance, because if you don't have the balance, then you don't have the harmony in your home life, you don't have the love, people are in pain. I think you've seen it before, whether you've literally gone through it in a former relationship or a former family situation, or whether, as I say, you've seen it within your family, or if it's not a family thing, you've seen it within a community. You know what not to do. This is what it's saying. You have learnt, and you know. That's why you knew that when you first start on whatever this is, whether it's new family, new idea, there will be some pushback. You know what to expect, but you're balanced enough to be ready to do that. And your heart is very definitely in the right place. So let's see what you don't see. If you kind of know what the pitfalls could be, which is pretty impressive, I have to say, let's see what you maybe don't see. Okay. I think this is why I've said that this role, the caregiving role, does need to be balanced. I'm very happy you have I am balance there. And the creativity, you're kind of creating and bringing in yourself. I think what this is saying is that in the sort of like the passion to bring this about, whatever this is with the King of Wands, you may not see the pitfalls of getting trapped in power struggles or getting caught in a role that would suit you for a while but not forever. This is saying this is an evolution for you for a role that is right for you for a time. It's not necessarily long term. Don't keep yourself trapped there. You're then meant to move into something else, like being much more creative, being much more of a leader in some way. So it's almost as though this is a stepping stone. It's a necessary stepping stone because it proves your heart's in the right place, you are doing the care, and it has something to do with the sort of connection to your spirit and so forth, something maybe connected to community or to ancestors as well, but it's transitory. And I think that Spirit is saying here, you may not realize that it is. And that doesn't mean if you're about to have a child that you're suddenly not going to have a child in a year or two. I'm not saying that at all. But children grow up and then you sort of move into something else. So it could be a relatively lengthy time before you move into a different role if this is about starting a family. But if this is about some other form of caregiving, a position that you take on, whatever it might be, there's a point at which you're meant to move into something that's more about leadership and less about just looking after others. And you might feel that that's suppressing your heart. So it's just Spirit is saying when the time is right, you'll need to evolve into something else again. Nothing wrong with it at the moment. This is what you're meant to be evolving into. And the timeframes of it will depend very much on what that evolution is. As I say, if it's a family, starting a family, it's going to be a while before you need to be worrying about this. But I think it's just saying don't get stuck in one version of yourself. Okay, so to help you with the engine room of this transformation, I've got a number of different oracle decks. The first one is to look at some spiritual gifts that you have that could help you in this evolution. And I think for you, understanding it's one step in a longer journey. Respect. Influence. Okay. So I think this is showing, I think you will get a lot of respect for what you're doing. And I think you will have a lot of influence, and you're moving to influence as well. So I think it's just really showing the same sort of trajectory. There is something that you're going to do that is probably almost selfless, certainly balanced, caring, looking after others in some way, as I say, and you'll get a lot of respect for that. But at some point you need to move into influence because there's it's like you become, in doing it, you are showing something to people, you're walking the talk, but then there's sort of like a next step. So I think it's just saying understand that you're on a journey. You're on a journey towards influence. And part of your influence is that you will have proven yourself to be a wonderful caregiver and somebody who is of the heart. But eventually there's something about leading with you. Let's see with the crystal chakra deck, what's chakra energy for this part of the evolution Spirit wants you to focus on. The root chakra, that came up for one of the others, which is interesting. I'm pretty sure that exact card did. And the throat chakra. Okay, so the root chakra, positivity and grounding. I feel grounded in this moment and I choose to embrace positivity. So yes, what you are doing at the moment is right. If you're listening to this and thinking, oh, I'm involved and then I've got to do something else, or, you know, like I thought I'd be doing more in my life than being a caregiver, the answer is yes, you will. It's just that this is part of the process for whatever reason. And if you're thinking, well, all I wanted to be was a caregiver, then stay positive where you are at the moment, because the nature of what the influence is, it could be a different form of creativity. It could be that you write an amazing book about raising children or something. I mean, who knows what this leadership, creativity, energy is. But stay grounded in this at the moment and go through this evolution. Throat chakra with aquamarine, sensitivity and closure. I create my own closure. So whatever was difficult before, that you saw before, you can close that out, and I honour my sensitivity. So it's part of, in fact, what makes you an amazing caregiver, yeah, and your spiritual sensitivity as well too, connecting, say, to Metatron and to the dragon energy as well. So let's have a look at creativity. So starting first with some colour energy, and then we're going to look at creative sort of advice, full stop, because evolving ourselves is an act of creation. So, and I think colour gives us a sense of some of the vibrations associated with that. And then the creative soul mandala oracle gives us some creative thoughts or approaches to consider. So colour first. Silver, be persistent. Okay. Grey, learn to scan your body. Okay, so this is connecting you very much to the material world. I do think that some of you, this may be about having children, but it doesn't have to be. But I think it is saying that there is a kind of a grounding energy that you need to look at. Scanning your body, I don't think is suggesting there is anything to worry about. I think it is just saying that you are very kinesthetic. You really feel things in the body. You know things in the body. It's probably part of the reason why we have I am balance. I think it is saying that you will have a sense, you will know. Scan your body, look for that. Don't exhaust yourself either. And if you feel that you're feeling a bit trapped or something, listen to your body. Silver is be persistent, however. There is a process to this. It will take a bit of time and you will end up where you want to end up. But this is part of the evolution. Be persistent with it. All right, let's then also look at creative energy around you. Since you came to creativity, you are a creative person, but it seems to be focused at least initially on caregiving in some way, then eventually on something that's more expressive, I think. Depth, rhythm. Okay, so that kind of feels a little bit like music and so forth. Maybe some of you are musically inclined, but I think it's also showing that this is a deep process. It goes right back to the ancestors. It goes scanning within. There is a depth to what you will do, both in terms of how you give care, but also I think in how you create coming out of that. And if you get into a rhythm, you get into the depths and you can actually really see what this is becoming. And also know the timing for when you move into, as I say, a more expressive and less caregiving and more expressive side of your creativity. Okay, so to bring it together, let's use some Astro Chakra cards, and then there was one last card that was under the card that brought you here, which looks at angelic light healing energy, just to sort of bring together the evolutionary process for you. So, spirituality, who you are in the world with the solar plexus chakra, and then what you communicate to the world with the throat chakra. So, the crown chakra, Pluto transforming, rising. This is transformative. Like whatever this energy is transformative. You are moving into a very big role change, but I feel like it's a step. It's a step and then there's another one after that. So just connecting to Metatron, to the dragon energy, to that kind of strength to help through the change in life that is coming with this, I think is positive. and you will be able to be very individual and eventually be able to express that individuality and that inspiration. So with Uranus in the solar plexus, you are a bit of a nonconformist. So your caregiving approach, what you do, will be very much you and very individual in whatever way it is. And there's something that's going to be very inspirational about that. And then you can communicate that going forward. So this, as I say, is a stepping stone. There's another step beyond this. And I haven't done this with any of the other decks, but before we go to this card, I'm going to pause the video and just get the Rose Oracle and get a second card just to see if I can get what the next evolution is, just to see if we can get a bit more information on that before we do the Angelic one. So I'm just going to pause the video now. You won't notice it, but I'm just telling you so you know I'm doing it. Okay, I'm back, and so I'm just going to shuffle, and I'm going to get, just to see if Spirit will tell us. They may not tell us anything that's that clear, but I just want to see if I can get another card to see what the next step of this evolutionary journey might be for you. Wow, and it goes back to the ancestor. Okay. So that's a bit mysterious, I have to say. But maybe there is something, as I say, through bloodlines, through all this, there's something that you are going to evolve into, like a role, like a leader in your sort of family, in your tribe, in your community in some way, connecting to spiritual ancestry, spiritual connections, all of that sort of thing, because there is a very strong spiritual connection around this. But I think it's sort of, you may become like someone who was in your family or in your community or in your tribe or even your soul tribe. And it may be in going through this process that's what brings you more into connection with that. But there's something about your family tree or your community or something like that that's got to do with the next step after you've done this caregiving role. So it's pretty mysterious but interesting. Okay, so let's finalize with the Angel Healing Light card. Technologies of Love. So this card connects you with Archangel Uriel, and it's also connecting with the healing sort of energy. And it is about potentially using technologies to connect and to so forth. So there may be something around spiritual technologies or actual technologies to connect you to communities, family trees, whatever it might be. But it's meant to be a sort of healing energy. Some of you may literally, in the caregiving that you do, I'm getting, actually clear generational karma. That might be what's going on here. That it may appear like you're bringing up a child, or you're looking after someone, or you're going into a caring sort of role, or you're taking a caregiving approach. But in doing it, you are clearing something ancestrally, using the kind of like light energies and Metatron's connection and so forth. And eventually you will be able to speak of this and communicate it for others. So it's pretty profound. So I hope that resonates for you, Pile 3. I hope you enjoyed the reading. If so, please like the video and subscribe. And if you care to share in the comments, I'd love to hear about it, because this is a little bit mysterious but very, very fascinating. In any case, I wish you well with it, and I hope to see you in future readings. Welcome, Pile 4, to your reading. So here's the power card that brought you to the reading. We also have the soulmate card, interestingly, from the Wisdom of the Golden Path. Then we have a divine animal of the sea turtle, which is about stability. We have Uriel, which helps with clearing of energy and change in life with the Uranus connection to Uriel. We have Zadkiel, which is about Jupiter, abundance, miracle, good fortune, and so forth. We have Mercury, which tells us it's something to do with communication, with speaking your truth, with how you communicate in the world, potentially the third house. Libra, which is about balance, again, very air-oriented. There's something very air-oriented around all of this. We have the time is right, so it's saying that whatever this evolution is, it's about to occur, I think, or something's about to occur that really clicks in and makes it happen. And you are evolving into someone who frees yourself or others in some way. So that could be freeing, with these cards together, it could be freeing somebody who's a soulmate from a relationship that wasn't working to connect with you, or finding your soulmate through dealing with power and liberating others in some way. I do think there's a significant divine union or connection around this with these two together, but I feel as though with power and liberator, many of you are looking at issues of power and the right use of authority and those sorts of things in some way, and I think you find a very strong connection, if you haven't already, and you may have already, That may in fact have been what's drawn you into looking at this, and you may want to free someone, quite literally, as I say, from an oppressive situation or relationship or something along those lines. And you will be using extremely good communication ability, maybe the law, maybe legal issues, maybe just balance intellectually and so forth, to clear out this energy and to bring stability somewhere where I think that things have been very vexed, almost to the point that it feels miraculous, but it's divine timing, because you are meant to evolve into this person who, as I said, frees an individual, frees people, frees a concept, frees yourself. Whatever it is, you are evolving into someone who can take that on. And I think love is at the core of it, but also a kind of a sense of justice, whether it's social justice or political justice or legal justice or just in relationships and so forth. But you are going to move into this very, very quickly. This is a very quick evolution and something that you've probably prepared for in many ways. And you've got your life in a stable place so that you can go through that evolution quite quickly. You've cleared out a lot of stuff. You've really understood on a very intellectual level whatever it is that you're dealing with. So it's very interesting. Let's see then with tarot where you are at the moment in this evolution. Because I'm fascinated by soulmate turning up for this. I really feel like there's some sort of divine connection here. If you haven't met somebody in that space, you're about to. And I guess soulmate doesn't have to be romantic. It could be a soulmate like someone from your soul tribe, but who's somehow connected to this in some way. But yeah, there's just that sort of sense of something around a cause and then the right person being there, and somehow that might even be a sign that the time is right as well. So let's just see with the tarot. So I'm using the Lost Tarot, which has sort of Arthurian-like type sort of imagery, and so I think of quests and so forth with this. So I thought it was a good deck to use. So this is looking at where you are at the moment. Okay, so you're in the midst of you're in the belly of the beast at the moment by the looks of things. Whether this is in a work environment, political environment, a family dynamic that's difficult, you are right in the belly of the beast at this point in time. You are looking the power in the face and you are trying to make some decisions. You haven't yet made the full decision about how to liberate or move through. You can see that things are not balanced. Power is not balanced here. And there is the potential that you've met this person or you're connected to this person, but because of these issues, you aren't fully able to bring it into being. It could literally be you've met someone who's involved somewhere else and it's not a good relationship, and you coming into their life is the thing that liberates them, but it's not yet happened. It could also be, as I say, that you've maybe met someone in a work environment, for instance. It is not a very healthy work environment. And you can feel the attraction, but you can't really bring it into being yet because decisions have to be made. The liberation has to occur to some degree. It's a classic sort of reading actually for someone who has met someone at work, and the work environment itself, apart from the fact that in this case I think it's a bit toxic, is potentially an environment where you could not be open about the fact that you'd fallen for someone you were working with. So there's something like that. There is a sense that there is something new. You know, there's something new that you could do if you get free, but you do need to get free, which means making some decisions in a fairly unbalanced situation. But as I say, this is very imminent, very imminent. And I think with Zadkiel here, with Jupiter, with the miracle, there's like something's going to happen to really help you and this person, if it's two people that need to get out, or to help you to liberate yourself so that you can liberate others. It may even be this person coming in is the miracle that actually helps. So let's see what you do see at the moment. Then we're going to look at what you don't see that could trip you up if you weren't aware of it. So firstly, what do you see of this evolution at the moment? Wow. I think most of you are in a political environment or a work environment that's very toxic, and you know it. And you know that you can't stay there long term. You're not sure exactly when you're going to make the shift, liberate yourself, liberate others, but you know it has to happen because there is a power issue, and it's not good. There's definitely some workplace bullying at the very least, or there's sort of power issues, there's duplicity, there's just not an honesty around it. And you know that, and you can see that. You know what it would be to be using power appropriately, but you can also see that it isn't at the moment. And you know that this is not somewhere you could commit to stay. You know it's somewhere that you need to get out of. So it's a workplace, it's a political party, it's It could be a family environment where there is a very, very strong person, possibly paternal, but doesn't have to be. Very, very strong person, like controlling everything and maybe stopping you from being with someone that you love. But whatever it is, you know that you're going to have to make a shift. You're not yet sure exactly when, but I think this is saying the time is coming up. So let's see what you don't see. Because what I must say about you is you're prepared to look this in the face, that's for sure, which is good. Some people would try and pretend it wasn't happening, but you are prepared to look it in the face. So let's see what you don't see. Okay, partly what you don't see, pile 4, is how much you could be in the world with this and how much you should be a leader in the world. Part of this is you don't see your own power at this point and how you can close out this issue and take it forward, how you can make that decision because you are underestimating yourself big time. You sort of feel a bit trapped, but in the end, you're going to be the person, maybe in conjunction with somebody who's a soulmate or a soul twin, but you are going to be the person who liberates yourself and or others in this, but you don't yet see how much you have going for you. There's something about this environment that has worn down your self-esteem a bit. It's made it a little bit hard for you to make decisions, and so you're sort of sitting in this energy. But this is saying, firstly, that the completion of this cycle is sooner than you think, and secondly, that you're meant to be out in the world in some way. This is why you're evolving into the liberator. Once you free yourself from this situation, whatever it is, work, community group, family, whatever it is, then not only will I think you get the sort of the capacity to create the love and all of that sort of thing, but you are actually going to understand who you are. And you are someone who is brave, and you are someone who has enormous strength and can liberate others and can see things for what they are. You don't stick your head in the sand. You're very, very open to understanding the powers of the world. Therefore, you are the liberator. Okay, so to help you with this, let's look at some engine room, so to speak, of change. So firstly, some spiritual gifts or approaches that might help you become the liberator. Move, believe. Okay, so very literally, I think this is saying, like very soon there's going to be an opportunity. Liberate yourself, move. Don't get stuck. Don't underestimate yourself. It could also be saying that things like exercise and so forth like that kind of like gets you ready, kind of almost like energizes you. But you have to believe in yourself. You're not yet believing in yourself. But you are meant to be this person. You are far, far stronger than you're giving yourself credit for. And sometimes it's just like the slightest move, the slightest change, the slightest choice. And once you do that, then you start to believe, oh, okay, that worked out. I knew what I was doing. And then it starts to sort of move from there. It might also be saying for some of you, literally move home, move a workplace, whatever it might be. But believe that you're heading towards liberation. Okay, let's see what chakra energy could be helpful for you. Sacral chakra, so creativity. Sacral chakra. So there's something about you creating you. This evolution is meant to happen. It's like a double whammy of the creation energy that is evolution. So firstly, we have orange calcite about connection and discovery. I am on the path to self-discovery and I feel connected to all things. So yes, this is part of you discovering who you are and understanding how strong you are. And that then brings in carnelian, which brings success and self-confidence. I am confident in the decisions I make. So you move out of this situation and I attract success into my life. And yes, you will, because you're going to realize how strong you are, how much stronger than the average person. And that's going to sort of really boost your confidence once you start to move into whatever this liberation energy is. Okay, so let's have a look at some decks that are really more about creative energy. So firstly, one around color energy, because I always feel that's very creative. And then we're going to use the Creative Soul Mandala Oracle to see creative sort of vibrations or advice around this for you as you evolve and create and recreate yourself. So we have Sapphire, regenerate your body. Okay, there's something for you around diet, exercise, all of those sort of things. There's something in that will help you, that will give you back energy. Maybe the Queen of Wands reversed a bit here is that you're running low on energy. And it's one of the things that I always find quite ironic, that exercise gives you energy, because to me it always feels like it would probably do the opposite. But when I do make myself exercise, I find that's actually true, that it does give you energy. So I think there's something in that. And I think it's connecting to the sort of sapphire colouring here, or the power connected to a soul twin. I think that's getting you ready for that energy coming in. And then we also have magenta, connect to your deepest inner knowing. Yeah, so trust yourself, trust that miracle and so forth. You'll know when the time is right. Your inner knowing is really on point. Okay, so let's also have a look at creative advice. Perseverance. So yes, there may be some stuff to get through to do this, and believing in yourself. Perseverance and rest. I've got a feeling I'm going to shuffle these, but I've got a feeling these might have come up in another one. They might have come up in two different ones. But I think it's sort of persevere, but also rest when you need to rest. Move when you need to move, rest when you need to do that. You are dealing with quite a bit. Whatever this is, there is some form of abuse of power or control. So allow yourself to persevere through it, but rest when you need to. It allows the creative energy to stay on a very positive way and connect again to your deepest inner knowing about when you need to rest. Okay, so to close out, I want to use some Astro Chakra cards, and then there was also one last card, which was an Angelic Light Healing Oracle card, to just sort of bring it all together. So for the last advice from Spirit for this reading around who you are evolving into and how to do that. So we have the third eye chakra, the throat chakra, and the crown chakra. So we have two of the key spiritual ones. That's why I connect to your deepest inner knowing. You're very spiritually on point. In the third eye, which to me is always a bit like telepathic communication, connection with others, we have Mercury, expanding knowledge. So there is a sense that your skills to talk and to communicate and all those sort of things are going to help you, and it'll expand your knowledge about yourself, I think, and what you can do. And that will also help your communication, because you are meant to transform with communication. Revitalize yourself physically, but also revitalize others by the transformative liberation that Pluto can bring. And that connects you back to your spiritual roots, to who you really are. The moon in the spiritual thing, acceptance of who you are spiritually, and I think finding the emotional connection, the soul twin. That's why that was sort of coming up as well. Okay, so to finish off, let's see what angelic healing light energy there is for you. Healing through challenge. So that's about as perfect angel energy as we could get for this, because you are in a challenging situation. And this is Archangel Raphael bringing healing through going through whatever it is. And it does talk about physical stuff, so this could have taken a physical toll on you. If you've been in a really difficult relationship or workplace or something, you may need that rest and time out before you're ready to liberate yourself completely and to make the decisions. And you may need to balance and moderate the impact on you physically and so forth, and get that healing energy from Archangel Raphael that you also supplement through your exercise and all of that kind of thing to regenerate yourself physically. So I think this does say that for some of you, this has taken a physical toll. But having said that, it's the challenge energy that brings the healing through. It's the challenge energy that brings you to being the liberator. And then once you've done it once, you will know you can do it any time. You will know there is nothing to fear. You will know that you have everything you need to do it. You are connected spiritually, you're smart, you're bringing love into your life, all of those things. You don't have to stay stuck in toxic or unbalanced situations or too demanding situations. It may not even be overtly bullying and harassment and that. It could just be a ridiculously hard environment to work in that's exhausting you, and you need to liberate from that. But whatever it is, once you've done it, you know that you can do it. And you know that you have that freedom to be who you are. So you are then in relationships or in work or whatever it is in choice, which does allow in the concept of a soul twin or soulmate, because it's about choice and not about need, if that makes sense. So I hope that resonates for you, Pile 4, and I wish you well with this. I do have every faith you're going to do it, but I do think that you're going through a difficult time to get there. So do look after yourself as you do it. Make sure you get plenty of rest, you look after yourself physically, you get advice on that if you need it, and so forth. But remember, you are becoming the liberator of yourself and of others, and you are going to win in this challenge. So I hope that resonates for you. I hope it was helpful. I hope you enjoyed it. If so, please like the video and subscribe. And if you care to share in the comments, I'd love to hear about it. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings.